All right, so the product is loaded onto the website. That's great. I'm cruising through the site, as you can see, and you know, everything's working. That's good. I got all my links right. You gotta always check your links. And I just threw out the first Instagram message saying that it's live. We'll see what happens, y'all. Let me see if we got anything so far. Yep, we got a couple sales. Let's see what we can do. All right.
No, pretty easy. Rain today.
Have any cuts on your hand? I just got one.
Not too bad, no.
Cardboard cut. That's a special kind of a cut.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the main room right here. All right. Got it done.
Got it done. Boom.
Good to go?
Looks pristine.
All right, let's check every single size we got.
Sweet. Guarantee it.
All right, so we got everything unloaded off the truck. Very smooth, good weather, good timing of the day. And tomorrow we're gonna get ready to start shipping all the shoes. Right on time. That gives me a week to collect sales data and confidence going into a new purchase order on Friday. We'll see what we can make of this whole thing. Action-packed week.
It's like just lot trap stories like that.
All right. Sean, what are you waiting on, man?
Killers tickets. Trying to get Killers tickets.
What's the deal?
They're doing a surprise pop-up show at Emo's in Austin. Only seats 1,500. And I've been wanting to see the Killers since I was in like 7th grade. So.
All right, it's like a praying mantis, some type of Western hybrid praying mantis position.
This is the new wave yoga.
All right, concentrate. It's time.
Here we go. Come on. What? Dude,
You
I'm
got
going.
it? Yes! Top classic rock bands go.
I think the band's number 1.
All right.
Leonard Skinner. Pink Floyd's probably number 3.
All right, cool.
But that's top 3 in order, for sure.
Okay. Are you gonna do the full?
We'll see.
That's a yes.
We'll see.
See you in Texas. I would like to return this order. One day, I don't know if it would be appropriate, but I think it would be fun, is to make kind of a parody video of where I read reviews and support tickets that are less than favorable. I find them to be a little humorous sometimes, but I don't know if that would be deliberately rude. I think it would be entertaining, and it's not intended to be rude. It would just be intended to, because some of them are quite comical. Anyway, I also think that we could dress it up and make it entertaining. I don't know. I've often wanted to do this, but it's been welcome with mixed reviews. Michael reads less than favorable reviews from the support email. All right, so I have some numbers on the launch. And so at this point, what I can give, though, is percentages. So let me grab 7. Okay. 4. Oh, that's easy. That's an easy comparison. 70, about 70%. Okay. So I had 2 goals associated with the race model launch, and I gave myself 1 week to obtain those goals. Today is Thursday, so we get the rest of today and Friday. I might even extend it through the weekend, but I have deadlines to hit because I literally have to place a purchase order as soon as possible, and that deadline is Friday. Theoretically, I could do it Monday, and all things would be fine, but the order has to be locked in by November 1st. And as you can imagine, like there's often like banter back and forth between the time of purchase or submission of the purchase order and questions before it's locked in, or a production schedule is generated, or the material suppliers are contacted, like all that stuff. So I always buffer it about 5 working days to trade emails back and forth, and just to be safe. So my deadline is tomorrow, and we give ourselves 5 working days for the race model launch. I had 2 goals in mind. They were based off of previous launches, specifically the artist colorway restock that we did with the blue midsole, and some various other, I call them weighted curves. I have like a menu of weighted curves and sales figures from like different launch areas or days or time periods, and so I came up with 2 figures. One is the minimum viable purchasing for to submit a full-on purchase order, like I'd feel comfortable with. Hope you're following me so far. And then there was one that was kind of like, but wouldn't it be cool if we've got twice that much and outperformed a previous launch that we've already done, because they've been favorable. This time, fortunately, we've done a pretty good job at the race model launch. I think it's been very smooth, no hiccups, anything like that. But unfortunately, we are still at around, I think we're going to finish at around 80 or 85% of the bottom end of the goal. To be honest, I'm a little confused at yeah, I guess I'll just say it. I'm a little confused, and it's okay. I'm a little confused at the lower sales velocity on the race model than something like the Artist had. Now, there was a lot of excitement around the Artist. Runner's World gave it an editor's choice. It was $100. It was a very round and flat number. And it was kind of like a little bit of a disruptor in the carbon-plated shoe market. The race model being 120. Maybe there was some friction there. We had to start charging for shipping. Maybe there was a little friction there. International customs and duties and imports, like a lot of those fees, not the import side, but the shipping fees have gone up. And we've sided with FedEx for international shipping as opposed to USPS. USPS was losing you lose your tracking number, for example, when it goes from the US to the UK to the Royal Mail. There's a new tracking number that's generated, and a lot of people get really worried that they don't get their shoes. And some of those actually we had quite a few pairs get held up or lost, or a problem with customs or the import forms. It's a nightmare. It's just a headache at best, a nightmare kind of just in general. And even then, the customs would call up a customer if they chose USPS and say, oh, and by the way, you owe import fees. And we would put that on checkout, but not everybody quite understands that once it got to the Royal Mail and they paid their 20 or 30 bucks or whatever to get it there, then customs would call them up and be like, hey, well, you actually have to pay for your import fee or we're going to send it back to Atreyu. It's just crazy. So the amount of education involved in that was kind of a nightmare. So FedEx has a service where they kind of really prepay all the duties and taxes, and it just looks a little bit more daunting. So maybe there was some friction in the international sales. All things considered, I am pretty fascinated. My other theory is that although the media community had like such great things to say about the company and kind of like our ethos and what we're going for, and the race model was pretty good and they liked it and everything, the problem was, I think that most people, they kind of a lot of them placed it into a budget racer or kind of something that you would use as a daily trainer. And I really don't ever advertise a carbon-plated racing shoe as a daily trainer. There's even articles in various periodicals that are kind of talking about like why that might not be the best situation for a daily trainer. So we're not just going to take the layup and just say, oh, you can use it for everything. Like, it's intended to be a race day shoe. We advertise it as a race day shoe. I use it as a race day shoe. That's what it's designed for. And although you can use it for the various training run, in which I do too, like a tempo run, all that stuff. Anyway, as you can imagine, I think that there was maybe a little bit of a lackluster acceptance into it because it was looked at as an affordable trainer. But a lot of folks don't realize that if I were to MSRP this shoe on a traditional wholesale deal, this shoe would be well over $200 based off of the cost that we pay for it, what the wholesale price would be. You double that cost and then you double it for the MSRP. This would be, easily a $200 shoe, or at least $190. But what we did, and I made the deliberate decision, I was like, call my brother, and I was like, fuck it, you're right. Let's keep the prices low. Now, I think that that's a pro and a con depending on how you look at it. 120 is the lowest price that we could even really charge for something like this. And basically when you sell the shoe, you have to basically pocket that cash to buy another one. So that with all the shipping and everything, it was like we were kind of, if we weren't correct on our unit economics, we would just, lose some cash. But what am I even talking about? Wow. Point is, we're a little bit under on my target. And I think that's okay to come out and say it. So what I'm going to do today, and I'm happy with the launch. I'm so happy with the launch. Why? Because honestly, it's a great shoe. I'm so happy it's out there. These things it's not about the sales for me all the time. I've always just wanted to make my mark. The underdog stuff, I do not take it lightly. To me, it's about making the mark and putting ourselves out there. This shoe is fabulous. We made it. We were able to afford it. We got it in. We sold it. We shipped it. People are going to be stoked with it. And to me, that's all that matters. At this point, now I have to almost immediately think about the next step, and that next step is placing this order. So what I'm going to do is, and the last thing I'll say, thank you for following this 2-part series on the on kind of the race model launch and how I kind of think it is like almost like a moon orbit. Once you get around the moon, you got to make it back to Earth. We've gotten around the moon. I see the Earth. We got to go back. What that means is I got to place that purchase order and for spring shoes. And based off of my figures, based off of my numbers, I'm going to have to shave about 25% of that order, maybe 20%. I don't have to. I just for the sake of being conservative, and I always use a doomsday model. What if we were to have the worst sales day every day for 137, whatever days it is, 147, 137, until the shoes came in? Would we be able to afford it? And that's how I slam my spreadsheets with pessimism and doomsday sales figure, and it always works out because we always kind of get the opportunity to come out ahead and overperform. I think it's a really cool model, mindset to be in financially and forecasting. And so, so the idea today is I'm going to shave off about, I found where I could trim this large purchase order down, and I'm going to do it in the quantities of black base models and white base models, base model 3. And I'm going to shave those down. And the cool thing is I realized I should have done that anyway, because it's better to have smaller quantities so that we can reorder quicker after we get those in. So nothing changes there really besides just the overall quantities. And then we had, I think it was 5 colorways of the Daily Trainer: the black, the white, the pistachio, the Team 24, and the blue-red color that I came up with. I just called it blue-red. I didn't even have a name. I was working so quick. I didn't even have a name for it on the tag yet, and just realized that. So what I'm going to do is, because blue-red is it's a banger, but it's kind of an afterthought, I think what I'm going to do is just simply remove that one, and then I'll have a really cool color profile, and then save that blue-red for the upcoming 2024 fall release. And so what that's going to do is it's going to shrink our purchase order by 1 color and a few pieces of base models, and we're going to minimize our risk. I'll be able to slam my spreadsheet with doomsday figures until they come in and live in pessimism, which is a weird place to be, by the way. That's one of the videos that I did that was like, I don't know, it was probably, I did like 5 different takes on the 3-speed decision model. Maybe one day I'll do it, but I'll just cut to the finish here. Is when doing finances, I always like to be a healthy pessimist and say, because I don't ever want to not have enough cash to pay for what we order. And Atreyu, you have to think 6 months into the future and literally have to try and predict the future 6 months in advance. And in this case, I think we've come up with a healthy solution. So I'm going to take the sales figures of, I guess it'll look like this, like the artist curve. It kind of goes up to women's 8, kind of comes back down a little bit, goes up to men's 10.5 and comes back down a little bit. I call that a weighted curve. I have that tranche of orders that have happened this week. I'm going to apply that curve to the purchase order, make sure everything looks kosher. I've looked at it about 150 times. I've spent probably 3-4 weeks, maybe months, looking at the same numbers, and it's time to get that confidence to submit the purchase order. I'm going to do it. It's going to happen. I'm going for it. Thank you for following along. This has been a crazy week. We got it done. I'm very, very humbled to be able to do this. And I, good news is we're going to have race models. After everybody gets in these shoes, I think people are going to want more because it's a badass shoe. And I think that I'm very lucky to have this model and to complete our running shoe rotation in its finest iteration. From here on out, all I really have to do on my plate for design iterations, and this is where my mind's at right now, is to incrementally make adjustments, different tonalities, it's a music term, but different colorways or different amendments to the, like we upgraded the laces. Take a look at the sock liner. We've already locked that in, but it's time to put it into production. Like little advancements to our system. Tune, train, race, trail. And now the race model symbolizes the refinement in the whole rotation that we've been building. That's what's so special about this whole thing. Our pricing's right. The models are right. Yes, they have little incremental changes that I want to make, but we can spend time because why? Because huge goals are a series of tiny victories strung together in a meaningful way, and that's Atreyu. And every year, so long as we're not shitting the bed or fucking it up, like, so long as we're not like making poor decisions, making quality, small, calculated decisions every year, I believe that this thing is just gonna do something great. I don't know what that actually entails, but I'm gonna be along for the ride. I'm gonna be a student of what happens, and we're just gonna keep going as long as we have the opportunity to do it. That's all I do know. And maybe it's most important that I just document some of this stuff, and maybe that's the real essence of it. I don't really know, but I wanted to say thank you for following along. I'm very grateful, and I'm gonna get to work. Got a lot of work to do today, and then going into the weekend should be a good time. Next week is my wife's marathon in Indy. That's gonna be fun too. Everybody's getting ready for the Indy Marathon, and we're going to travel up, and if anybody's there, let me know. All right, adios. I don't know, Parker, are you going to watch F1 this weekend?
I am going to watch F1 this weekend. You know, gotta go fast.
Can you tell everybody something special for the last scene of my weekly vlog?
I don't know anything special.
You know something special.
I brought 3 new people to the
Brought 3 new people to the run club. Is that special?
Of course it's special.
Well, then, that's something special.